Welcome back to my Booksville Life channel. So this video might be a little bit chaotic. I used to film a lot of book reviews in the past, but I haven't done it in a little while, so I'm a bit rusty. So if this video is a little bit all over the place, just know that the book I'm doing this for, I absolutely love. So that's what you should really take from the whole video. So today I bring you a book review for the amazing book by Lori and Lee that is releasing today called The Forest of Souls, and it is amazing. Now I do have like 3 pages of notes, so like bear with me, and if you see me reading, like I'm really just trying not to miss telling you all the cool stuff. Okay, so let's start with my initial thoughts on the book. So my initial thoughts were like, the cover is awesome. I mean, look up a picture of Lori and look up a picture of her cover, and like they look the same, and I love it. I like every time I look at the cover of Forest of Souls, I see Lori, and I don't know, it makes me smile. So like, what am I supposed to do? And then the coolest thing was that the character on the cover has like amber eyes, and I'm like, I want to know what the reasoning behind those amber eyes are. And so don't worry, you get to find out. Not from me though, you gotta read the book. Then the second thing we got is, what surprised you most about the book? There was a lot of world building, and I loved it. Normally, I'm the kind of person who struggles through world building, but like Lori did such a good job at being so descriptive, at spreading out the details of her world, of the magic, of how they interacted with each other, that I'm just like, when I closed the book, I thought I'd finish watching like a 4-hour movie. And I was like, can I go watch it again? At 5 a.m. Like when you kind of want to reopen a book and reread it at 5 a.m. when you're like dead tired, I think it was pretty good. So that was my surprise thoughts on that. Favorite characters. Let me introduce you these favorite characters by also showing you their character cards, because Lori's pre-order was amazing and it got to everybody's house before the book did, and it just made me even more excited for the book, which by the way should arrive tomorrow, and I'm like okay, so here we go. We have my ultimate favorite peeps. We got the beautiful Saoirse. Let me see if I can make this it. The beautiful Saoirse and Sango. So basically these two are the main MCs of the book. This friendship is goals. And first of all, also look at the back of these cards. Like the artist for these just like nailed all the environments of the book. So these two beautiful characters, basically they're best friends, and they go through a huge roller coaster throughout the book. If I tell you, I'm gonna spoil it, but basically it goes through a lot of emotions. Their relationship changes a lot. But the one thing that kept ringing with me was the fact that Lori had mentioned in an interview when I interviewed her on my panel for Social Distance Book Fest, that she wanted her book to focus on female friendships, because she found that every time she read a book, it was like the female friendships were a little bit shallow, or they weren't deep enough, or they were catty and whiny, and she wanted a female friendship that was like connected and wholesome and deep and intimate. And people, can I tell you that this is the favorite part for me of this book? Like, this friendship is more intimate than relationships. Like, every time I read a description of their friendship, I'm just like, and I'm gonna read you 2 quotes. The quote that made me think I'm in trouble with this friendship now, and the quote that I was like, wow. So here we go. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so the quote. Okay, so the first one that made me think this friendship is gonna be it said, "Sango is my best friend, and I value her as I value no one save Kandara. The guilt will bother her all day if I don't alleviate it. And I'm like, that's friendship goals. She's like, it wasn't even her fault, and you'll see what happened. It was kind of her fault, not really her fault, but still, like the whole time they're walking away, you know, Saoirse is feeling like if she doesn't fix this with her friend, like it's gonna make her feel guilty all day. And I'm just like, but the thought, like she's thinking about her friend, and like, I mean, Saoirse could have just walked away and been like, oh, whatever, the situation's over. But Saoirse's out here like, nah, I need to fix this. Like, this is my friend. She can't be feeling guilty all day. And I'm like, and then things happen in the book that are like ultimate, and their relationship escalates, and it becomes even more intimate than it was when it began, which like I didn't even think it was possible, but like it was so beautiful to experience, and like you need to do it. And I'll read you the quote that like I wrote it in my notes. I was like, I need to read that quote in my video because it touched me. It says, "My heart breaks, the pain a knife beneath my ribs. I don't speak, but I put my arm around her, letting the force of her quiet sobs rock against me. Sango has always been meant for so much more than the life of a soldier. She's supposed to travel and have adventures and claim her own fate. And then if she wants, she's supposed to fall in love and get married and become the lady of Falcon's Ridge. She's supposed to grow old, happy, and content after a life well lived. I squeeze my eyes shut and turn my face into the pillow as I listen to her mourn all the things she's lost, all the things I've taken from her." And I'm like, why am I crying on Maine? I was like holding the book and I was like, So like there are moments that you're just gonna hold your soul in your hand. So be warned. Let's see. The second person that we have to meet is my man Thayen. This is Thayen. He is one of two morally questionable people in this book, but we stand. Thayen is a gray dude. I love him. I don't remember what category he is in the book, and I'll explain this later in a second. Because there's a lot that goes into this world building, and I'm really bad about remembering all the terms in fantasy, but we like him. He is complicated, but his banter with Saoirse had me rolling on the floor, because I guess if you had to think about him, he'd be like an annoying brother that you didn't want to have. but like you really do like him though. And I guess he grows on you throughout the book, but I really appreciated how he went from being like this stranger to like a little bit more integrated into the story to like, oh, he was key. You know, and I feel like that's the thing I loved about this whole book, is that every side character became integral to the story at some point. So yes, even though Saoirse and Sango are like the it of the book, every other character holds so much importance to the story that if you took them out, the story wouldn't make any sense. And I mean that like down to like the Shaman-borns, which like you'll know why I mean down to the Shaman-borns, but like everybody's important. If you took out even one detail, you'd be like, what is happening here? Which I appreciate, because like everybody, it's kind of like everybody's a main character and we love to see it. And then the third guy that we got is Prince Malik. And like, he a whole snack, you know? Prince Malik is awesome. And then Prince Malik, he is our second morally questionable individual, but he has a character arc, and I appreciate it because it was a very good character arc. And I'll go into more of that in a little bit, because I read Stamped right before I read Forest of Souls, and let's just say that some of that commentary like seeped its way into Forest of Souls, so you'll see. My least favorite character was this dude called Yonian. or I think that's how I say his name, he gotta go. And when you read the book, you'll agree with me. He gotta go. And the reason I say he gotta go is because he is an entitled, privileged butthead, for lack of better vocabulary, you know? And I was just mad at all the stunts that he pulled at the beginning of the book, in the middle of the book, at the end of the book. I was like, excuse me, sir. Your character is done. Exit through the side door. No, we don't need you here. So I didn't like him. And then there's Ronan the Spider King. And it's not that I didn't like him. He's a complicated character. I didn't like him that much. I finished the book, and he's still a perplexing character. So, like, I'll give props to Lori for that, because I still don't know if Ronan was a good guy or a bad guy. Like, it's like for the longest time, I was like, oh, you good. And then I was like, oh, you bad. And then I was like, but maybe you're good? I couldn't tell. So when you finish the book, please come to my comment section again and be like, this is what I thought, because I want to know. Or at least tag me in your review, because I want to know. And then what did I like about Forest of Souls? So many things. So we'll get into it. About the question of what didn't I like about Forest of Souls? It doesn't exist. I liked everything. So, like, honestly, Forest of Souls was a 5-star for me. And I really hope it is for all of y'all who are watching this video right now, because it was just amazing. Like, I'm going to delineate some things, because I made notes, so I wouldn't forget to tell y'all, you know? So, number one, props to Lori. She put the terms of her magic system, of the classes, of the different, like, world building terms in the front of the book. Normally, you find these terms in the back of the book, so you can refer to them. But honestly, I appreciated, as not a common fantasy reader, that the terms were in the front, because I read through them first, and then I went into the story. Yes, you could jump in without reading it if you're, like, used to reading, like, big world building and fantasy and sci-fi and such, but, like, it gives you such an intro to what you're about to get into, because her world building is expansive and it is huge, and just having a little bit of that knowledge is, like, amazing. Then I was literally laughing at a couple parts, but this one really caught me, and I wrote to my friend Leland, because I was like, what? So I was like, I literally cackled at this description. It said, a windwender who can suffocate a person by stealing the breath from their lungs. They can also steal a person's voice by perfectly mimicking it. And all I thought was, Ursula? Like, I was like, am I too much of a classic Disney lover that the first thought I had was Ursula from The Little Mermaid? Yeah, I know. Don't judge me, okay? Me trying to guess the plot throughout the book was definitely my own little adventure. And I would like to say the descriptions in this book had me wanting to read more of the book, because Lori made everything seem so lush, so beautiful, so big, so expansive, to the point that I was telling my friends that, like, I have an overactive imagination. So when I remember Lori's books, or when I remember, like, Lori's scenes in this book, I remember images. I remember pictures. I don't remember words. I remember just knowing that the two girls walked into the forest. They were back to back. They were holding their swords, and light flashed as they were standing in the forest of dead wood. And I'm like, oh, this is intense. So, like, yeah, it was like watching, I'm telling you, it was like watching a movie. And I loved it, because I could imagine every scene that was happening in perfect detail. Like, the only thing that I had to go pick up is, because I'm not really good at imagining people, but then Lori solved that problem, because she gave us character cards. So I was like, oh, this the dude? Okay. Like, the girls are a lot easier to, like, picture in your head, but the boys, because there's so many distinctions of, like, magic and who's royal and who's that kind of royal, and I was like, wait, I need a picture. And then these beautiful character cards came into place. So, like, yes, let's see. Then we have the level of badassery of all the female characters in here, including the oldest character in the book, because the oldest character in the book is absolutely fire. Her name is Kandara, and we love her. And it's just unparalleled. Like, it's unparalleled. And that brings me to a thing about the book. So this book is Hmong inspired, and the Hmong people are like a Southeast Asian ethnic group. They can be found in Southeast Asia and China, but it's not Chinese book. Like, it's not a Chinese inspired book. The world is pretty much itself. Like, it's just gorgeous. However, there's some aspects of Asian culture that I was really thrilled to see in there, because I've been living in China, as some of you know. And so, like, that part where I saw, like, Kendara being, like, an older woman, God, I can't speak English today, an older woman, and she was kicking it, and she's the mentor, and she is showing this girl how to kick ass, and I'm like, yes, and it reminded me of this super subtle thing that goes on in Chinese society, where, like, every time you go outside, you rarely see young people working. You always see older people working, older people doing labor, older people riding their bikes like they're still 15. Like, it's not something I feel like I see in America often. Like, I feel like people in America pride themselves on being retired sometimes. But at least when I lived in different parts of Asia, like, older people pride themselves in being able to continue to work. And they, I don't know. It's something that I've always found cool, because I'm like, yeah, keep doing you. Like, if that's what you want, go for it. And the fact that Kendara is like this older lady, she's blind, she almost always wears like a thing over her eyes, and she can like kick people's ass and train others and wield that sword like nobody else. I was like, all right, I see you. I see you. And so I just loved it. I loved it. And let's see, what else do I got? Oh, well, let me address what I said earlier. So the thing about Stamped and the book, there is some commentary about society, like sprinkled like here and there, if you're seeing it or looking for it, or you just happen to have read Stamped right before you read Forest of Souls, because the combination, it really, really struck me. You'll come to see that these beautiful women are anti-racist. Saengo, specifically, the best friend, is privileged, and she almost always uses her privilege to help others. She also doesn't like the station she's in because it comes with expectations that she really doesn't want to meet, just because, like, that's not who she is. And therefore, she understands that the expectations put on people in the class lower than her are also unfair. So whenever she can, Saengo is out here just being like, no, like, if I wanted your opinion, I would ask for it. And we stand. However, we have my man, Prince Malik. And Prince Malik would be what you consider, in Stamped, an assimilationist. He thinks what happening to the shaman born is wrong, but he doesn't use his power to dismantle what's happening to them. Note, just because he's an assimilationist doesn't mean that he doesn't become an anti-racist. So, like, his character arc is my jam. Because I was like, at first I was like, I love you. And then I was like, I'm disappointed. And then I was like, you the man? And I was like, ha ha. So yeah, I absolutely love that. And I guess, yeah, it just reminded me of all of these things while I was reading. Or, for example, these quotes. Like this one. The Empire's history is fraught with blood and death at their attempts to conquer the continent. But how much of what we've been taught is based in fact, and how much is the invention of a fearmonger's hatred? And I was like, well, that's a thought. So yeah, in general, I spent 20 minutes babbling about the amazingness that is Forest of Souls. Pardon me, but like, I needed to record this for posterity because I was not ready for everything that Forest of Souls was gonna bestow on me. So I hope you're still sitting here listening to why this book is amazing. I forgot to mention there is like a slight trigger warning for suicide, because there's a comment that Jonian makes that is a little bit out of line. But other than that, I really hope that you love Forest of Souls when you get it. If your pre-order's coming in, be super excited. Post all your pictures. I want to see it. And if you haven't bought Forest of Souls, it's out today. So go bookshop.org, black-owned bookstores, Amazon if that's all you can have, because I understand that accessibility is important. Go get Forest of Souls. And everybody congratulate Lori and Lee on having an amazing book birthday. And I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.